having some computer issues, but here
Oh,
I am.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we are live. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the West Coast Committee meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. I would like to recognize that I am calling in from the traditional territories of the Shuswap First Nation and the Hoopachussett First Nations. And I also recognize that a lot of you are calling in from other traditional territories across the island. So I want to advise that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube through the Regional District website. And we will start with introductions. So I'm Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services, and I'll call on Director Siga next.
Thank you. I'm Veda Siga. I'm the director for Area C Long Beach.
Great, thank you. Director Mastrangelo.
Lagana Mastrangelo, representing Equilit First Nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Johnson.
Morning, Kirsten Johnson, representing Toquat Nation.
Thank you. Director McEwen.
Good morning, everyone. Marilyn McEwen, Mayor of Ucluelet.
Great. Dave, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Dave Toval, Superintendent at Pacific Rim National Park Reserve.
Great. Thanks for joining us. And we have a number of staff online. I'll just quickly introduce them. Eddie Kunderman, Operations Manager. Mark Fortune, Airport Superintendent. Terry Fong, Chief Financial Officer. Serena Manhas, Planner. Tanya Carruthers, Solid Waste Manager. I think that was everyone. And then we do have one delegation online. Craig will be joining us just shortly here. So first off, we need to conduct the elections for chair of this committee. So I would like to call for nominations for chairperson for the West Coast Committee for a first time. Go ahead, Director McEwen. Oh, yeah.
I would like to nominate Director Steer for chair.
Perfect. And I do have email confirmation from Director Steer that he would be willing to stand as chair. So I'll call for nominations for chairperson for a second time. And finally, I will call for nominations for chairperson for a third time. So there being no further nominations, I can declare Director Steer as chairperson for the year. And now I will call on nominations for vice chairperson for 2026. Director Siga.
I'd like to nominate Marilyn McEwen, or Mayor McEwen.
Director McEwen, to accept the nomination?
I do accept. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll call for nominations for vice chairperson for a second time. And I'll call for nominations for vice chairperson for a third time. And there being no further nominations, I declare Director McEwen as vice chairperson for the year. And so given that Director Steer is not here, Director McEwen, are you comfortable taking over as chair?
Yes, I can do that. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, we have an agenda before us, and I believe there are 2 late items. Did everyone receive those? Seeing yes, I will move to approve the agenda as amended. Do I have a seconder? Director Siga? All in favor? None opposed, that carries. Are there any declarations? Conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes. There is one set of minutes for December 3rd, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I will move that the minutes of the West Coast Committee meeting held on December 3rd, 2025 be adopted. Do I have a seconder? Director Siga? All in favor? None opposed, that carries. We do have a delegation this morning, Craig Ewan Stewart, presenting in favor of the transit stop in Millstream. Do we have Mr. Stewart online?
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I won't take much of your time, and thanks for having me. I am in Ucluelet, the place we call Ucluelet, and I am grateful to the Ucluelet and the other nations in this area for maintaining this area in such a beautiful way. And so I just wanted to speak on behalf of supporting the petition to keep the bus stop at the Millstream neighborhood at Lee and Mavis. And a few things I want to sort of say about that. I understand that there is concerns about safety for children in the area and speed of the bus drivers, and I think those things can be mitigated. I think we're agreed that everybody's agreed in the neighborhood that a bus access for Millstream is a good idea. I think we're also agreed that there is no playground for children in the area, and so kids are necessarily going onto the street, and this is, this brings up a conflict, which I think can be addressed. Some of the things that I would want if I were a parent. I, by the way, I live in Millstream on Port Albion Crescent, but not in the loop area where the bus is going. And I don't have children, but that would certainly be a concern for me. And for me, I think one of the things I would want is, some way to really ensure the speed limit of 30 kilometers or even 20 kilometers. We're talking about a block, nobody needs to be going 50 kilometers an hour around that corner. So possibly speed bumps, but at least a lick of paint on the ground to say, kids playing, something that kind of just reminds people that this is a more serious issue. There's more traffic, including the bus drivers. So it's one thing to ask the bus drivers to go slower. It's another thing to make it a little bit harder for them to go at all faster, right? Because they're on a schedule, or maybe it's, they're behind and there's lots of people on the bus that day, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think we're agreed that we want it to be safe and we want the bus stop access for that Millstream neighborhood. It's a strange neighborhood, 45 houses and just nothing else there, right? Except this access to the highway. As for the suggestion from the petitioners last year that the bus stop should be sort of closer to the highway, I've seen some of the discussion around that. And, a few things I would say. One, that stretch of highway is a straightaway with a hill. And so people are going especially fast, either anticipation of the hill or trying to get up the hill. And you have limited visibility from both directions. It's about the best spot for coming out of that neighborhood to get on the highway. You can see down the hill a little bit, but if you're coming from either direction, you can't really see over this hill. So to have people take the bus and stop at what's called John's Way, this driveway off the highway on the south, west side, southeast side, across the highway anyway, from the Millstream neighborhood. It's basically, there's no lights there. There's no street lights. There's no reason to have anything there. It is a driveway where a bus could sort of do a turnaround, but it's basically desolate. And, it's 200 meters from the entrance to the Millstream neighborhood. So anything in the dark, I'm not sure I feel comfortable stopping there. And then we have to cross that intersection. At this point, people are at their own risk crossing that highway right there. There's no control. There's no zebra crossing. You're looking both ways. And, in terms of the balance of people who's on that side of the highway or on the Millstream side of the highway, we're talking about 45 homes on the Millstream side of the highway. There's just more people. And I also believe, essentially, if you build it, they will come. You make it easy and accessible, then people are going to use that transit system more. For me, I don't actually take the bus because the first trip into Ucluelet from Millstream is 9:21, way too late for me to start work. I work in the morning. I need to be at the office at no later than 8:30. So I would want more stops going to Ucluelet from there. But I understand that I'm one of many people in the area. I know that walking takes about an hour. I know that biking takes 20 minutes and driving takes 5 minutes. So a bus that takes about 8 minutes sounds fantastic. I totally encourage it. There are other, contentions in terms of how it's going to bring down property values or it's going to bring crime. And I think really those kind of anxieties shouldn't, essentially deprive the neighborhood of better access to travel. Like one of the things I've heard anecdotally is the younger people, they've opened up their social circles because they can get to Tofino on their own more easily. They're not having to ask mom and dad to have access to this other community. So I think it joins the communities in a way that, they weren't joined before. So I totally support the bus. And then, nobody's in disagreement that the Millstream should have a bus route. And in terms of the cost, we're talking about some paint saying, please slow down, or a speed bump or two, versus putting a new bus bay stop on the highway, which would still be dangerous. It doesn't sort of take away that danger of having a bus stop on a really busy stretch of highway. So I can't support enough the petition that was brought forward this year to keep the bus stop where it is. If people really have an issue and they're stealing the bus stop signs, I don't think that's the best way to approach the difficulty. And this kind of forum and having a delegation to speak from a slightly different perspective on the issue, I think is the better way. And certainly I believe that. And so I think also a few other things, people who live in Kavarno Island, which are a little bit off the Millstream neighborhood, they use the bus to access their properties. There's a few people who are going to come through that neighborhood. And I sense that Millstream is limited in terms of how many people could live there in total, but I can't help but think that it's a boon to have public transit access. I just can't say enough about that. The more ways, the better. And I think people will take it up when they see the bus stop sign or a shelter, or signs that the bus is continuing to go there. Because people who are going to take it, they already know that. But a reminder that the bus is coming through, and including, let's all be safe. Let's make sure that the bus is not going in a reckless fashion through the neighborhood. So I definitely support that. I think that's about all I wanted to say. I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of the meeting. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your comments. All right, we will move. Director Siga.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to thank Craig very much for that thoughtful presentation. There are new pieces of looking at things that I thought were very helpful. So just thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on then to correspondence. We have the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust Regional Forum summary and meeting notes. I wasn't able to attend this one this year. Were any of the other directors able to attend? That was held on Thursday, January 29th. No, well, I was happy to receive this this summary and meeting notes, because now I feel like I didn't miss the whole thing altogether. Moving on to request for decisions. We have a request for a decision for West Coast Transit in Millstream, and I believe Eddie will be presenting this. Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate that. So the report for the committee today provides a comprehensive update on the Millstream bus stop review and seeks clear direction from the committee on the long-term location of the transit bus stop for the Millstream community. As the committee will recall, and as Craig just discussed, direction was provided in 2025 for staff to investigate potential Highway 4 alternatives in response to concerns raised by some Millstream residents about buses entering the neighborhood and traveling at a high rate of speed. Since then, staff have conducted engagement with Ministry of Transportation and Transit, BC Transit, and the operating company, and have examined both the feasibility and potential implications of relocating the stop to Highway 4. Through that work, several key themes have emerged. First, from a technical standpoint, both potential Highway 4 stop locations would require substantial engineering and construction work before they could be made operational. These improvements would need to meet MOTT standards and would include items such as shoulder adjustments, site grading, drainage changes, and ensuring safe passenger access. Staff have not yet engaged an engineer, so the final cost of that work is currently unknown. Second, community feedback has changed since the issue was first raised. While initial group of residents expressed concern about the stop location with Millstream, there has recently been a petition received with signatures requesting the current stop and route be retained. The residents stress the importance of direct access without crossing Highway 4, the convenience of the existing location, and further concerns about safety and accessibility of the proposed new sites. Third, maintaining the stop in its current location aligns with safety and operational considerations. Relocating the stop, particularly the southbound direction, would require Millstream residents to cross Highway 4. Despite MOTT's conditional approval, this remains a key safety concern for both staff and transit partners. Given these factors, safety, cost uncertainty, significant engineering requirements, staff are recommending that the bus stop remain in its current location and that a bus shelter be installed at that site as part of the upcoming shelter installation project. This provides immediate benefit to riders, minimizes costs, and maintains service consistency. The report also outlines 2 alternative paths should the committee wish to continue pursuing Highway 4 options, obtaining detailed engineering cost estimates, or proceeding directly with improvement and installation at the 2 MOTT approved location. Staff are looking for direction from the committee today so that we can proceed confidently with the next steps, whether that is advancing the shelter installation at the current stop or conducting further investigation into the Highway 4 options. Happy to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. So I note in your report that the number of buses transiting Millstream has been reduced from 18 a day to 8 trips a day. Is that right?
Yes, as a part of the October service change and when residents brought forward this concern at the May 18th West Coast Committee meeting, staff worked with BC Transit to begin reducing and cutting in half the number of buses entering the community at that point. It was, effective in October of 2025.
Right. And is there something that can be done to slow the buses down a bit, or has there been some action taken in that regard?
Yeah, we have continual communications with the transit company and the operating company to ensure that operators are traveling the rate of speed, especially given the prominence of that location. They do have speed monitoring technology and have confirmed that drivers are, for the most part, adhering to the posted speeds. Staff have and will continue to engage with MOTT about potential traffic calming measures in the area or speed reducing. Anything put in place would have to be at MOTT's approval.
Great, thank you. Questions from directors? Director Siga.
Sorry, I seem to have issues getting my, because my chat is open, sorry. Okay. I've had to do a lot of really deep soul searching about this whole thing. And what I'd like to confirm with Eddie is the, like you're saying that we would have to actually build those bus stops up on the highway. Is that if I can just get a answer through the chair?
Yes, and to the chair. Thank you, Director Siga. Yes, there would be necessary improvement works before those stops could become operational in both locations. So the southbound location further down from Lee Street towards Willowbrae would require significant works, and we'd have to make sure that any drainage in the area wasn't impacted. The northbound stop near Lee Street, there'd definitely be some cement work necessary. We'd have to make sure there's safe access for passengers. There's a bit of a slope in the location. So just there'd be some necessary works. We would have to engage with an engineer beforehand to confirm the cost and to confirm the scope of work necessary.
Thank you very much. And I like the point about the light. The only light along the in this area is right at Lee Street at Millstream, which I really like from the dark sky feature, which I get to look at the stars every night, not like many people in towns. So in terms of safety, it seems like the bus stop being down in on Lee is probably a safer option. And I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands crossing the highway to even get to the bike stop. And I have written letters to identify issues that people have brought forward to me about the speeds on the highway, the passing lane that is down by Willowbrae, which has apparently created some real issues with people passing as other people were trying to come out of their driveways, and then there's, yeah. So it's, yeah, in terms of safety, and expense to our people of building 2 bus stops, and in terms of like we now have funding again through the chair to Eddie. We have funding for the bus stop shelters currently, and will that be proceeding imminently, or?
Yes, and through the chair, thank you for that question. Yes, we do have approved grant funding from the Rural Transit Solutions Fund to begin the bus shelter installation project along the West Coast Transit Corridor. This project, we're just finalizing the procurement process for a consultant, and the project will start within the next month and will run through 2028. That is a deadline on the grant funding. We will obviously try to expedite the installation of as many shelters as we can as soon as possible. But yes, that project will be kicking off shortly.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the additional information that's being brought to the meeting. And yeah, and I appreciate you getting the buses running out here, Eddie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Siga. The bus shelters will be built throughout this year and next year. Is that correct? Or will they be actually finished by this coming winter?
And thank you for that question. They likely will not all be completed by this winter. The deadline, as far as the grant funding, the deadline to have the project complete is the end of March 2028. There are funds allocated in both the 2026 and 2027 years for the installation of the shelters. We will obviously expedite as many as we can. We understand the value add for the passengers and getting out of the elements, and having the system just look a little bit more professional in that regard. And we're going to try and definitely get them up and running. We are waiting on stop-specific passenger trip data from BC Transit that will help allow us to inform the busiest stops, ensuring that we are providing the most value to the most riders as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. And that was leading up to my next question. Do you have ridership statistics yet from the provider?
And thank you for that question. We have the base level kind of passenger data, like the total number of trips. I'm still waiting on the drilled down passenger trips. So trips per time, per stop, passenger types, and that more detailed passenger breakdown I will bring to a future meeting.
That would be really interesting. Thank you. I have heard from a lot of people that they're really pleased with the service. And especially now that the later bus was reinstated, that's really helping get people to events in opposite towns and home again, which is great. So thank you for your report. Are there any other questions or comments from directors? Seeing none, there is a recommended motion, which I can move. I'll move that the West Coast Committee recommend that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors direct staff to leave the location of the bus stop within the Millstream community where it is, and move forward with the installation of a bus shelter in this location as part of the bus shelter installation project.
I'll second.
First and seconds, further comments? Director Siga?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this is a real tough one. But rather than having us develop 2 bus stops on in areas that, like, the visibility is not good, there is poor lighting, the drainage is not good. We've had issues with sewage from the far end there. I would much rather see funding go towards having a safe play area within Millstream itself. And perhaps another bus stop eventually down by Willowbrae as well, with proper crossings. But I mean, that all has to be addressed with MOTT, and I realize this is not a quick process. So yeah, in the meantime, I would totally be in support of maintaining bus service in a safe location. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Siga. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? I'm going to call that one more time. I can't see everybody all at the same time. All in favor? None opposed? That carries. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Eddie. Next up for decision, request for decision, West Coast landfill tipping fee bylaw amendment. And that would be Tanya, I'm guessing.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. So the item before you for consideration is to recommend adoption of a West Coast tipping fee bylaw amendment. As you know, the West Coast landfill is experiencing financial challenges due to limited revenue streams that do not cover rising operational costs. Previously, Wade residential waste and C&D tipping fees were approved for increases in both 2024 and 2025, and it's recommended that tipping fees be increased in 2026 as well to support cost recovery on the West Coast in the waste management service area. Staff are recommending a 5% adjustment to the tipping fee for Wade residential waste from 150 per ton to 158 per ton, and to the C&D waste tipping fee from 185 per ton to 194 per ton. The proposed rate adjustments will increase the availability of funds that can be used for daily operations and upkeep and management needs at the West Coast landfill. As noted in the staff report, the proposed updated tipping fee at West Coast landfill would be generally aligned with the costs experienced by other neighboring districts for managing solid waste, as reflected in their tipping fees, just for more context and information. Two alternatives were evaluated while we were putting the staff report together. The first looked at increasing the rates by 2.1%, which is CPI. However, this would only generate about $12,000 in additional revenue, which is helpful, but not enough to keep up with the increasing costs at the landfill, especially when accounting for long-term capital needs that we're anticipating related to biosolids, organics processing, landfill gases, climate impacts, leachate system work that needs to get done, the details of which will be described in the upcoming DOCP for this year, which we're going to be embarking on. The second alternative we looked at was no cost increase for 2026. This one's highly not recommended, since keeping the rates the same means that cost recovery is not being adjusted to reflect the increases in expenses as indicated by CPI at the landfill, and this would deplete available funds at the landfill that's already experiencing financial challenges. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya, for your report. It's a very thorough report. And just for clarification, this increase is not going to affect curbside pickup, correct?
It's not. That's correct.
It's just for Wade trash that is delivered to the landfill.
Correct.
Great. Questions, comments from directors? Director Steer did send me a comment, well, two comments, one for this particular issue. He was supporting a 2.1% increase in line with CPI, excuse me, unless a solid explanation for a 5% increase request supports rising it over that. And I think you've presented a good argument to raise it by 5% as opposed to CPI. Director Siga?
Yeah, as usual, I find that the staff information is well researched, and I greatly appreciate that. And yeah, I think it's pretty critical that we keep a healthy landfill area. So I'm in support of this.
Thank you, Director Siga. Any comments from other directors? Seeing none, there is a suggested motion that I will move. I'll move that the West Coast Committee recommend that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors support the adoption of an amendment to bylaw R1033, West Coast Landfill Tipping Fee and Regulation to increase tipping fees for Wade residential waste and construction and demolition C&D waste. Director Siga seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you, Tanya. All right, next up for request for decision is the 2026 to 2030 draft financial plan for West Coast Services. And that would be Terry.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so last week on February 12th, we did a full presentation to the board of the entire regional district plan for 2026 to 2030. And now we just wanted to provide a little bit more of an opportunity to see if you had any questions regarding the services that are for the sub-region area of the West Coast. So there is 5 different services, and Chair, I would propose that we kind of take them one by one. I feel like that has flowed well for us in the past. So the first up is the Long Beach Airport, and we do have operations manager Mark Fortune, or airport manager Mark Fortune here if you guys have any questions. We could go through the same presentation as we did last week, but I think in the past this committee has just asked us to jump into questions if you have them. So I will start there and we can change direction if you would like.
I'm open for questions.
Thank you. The airport is the first one on the list, I believe. So do directors have questions for Mark? We were presented a lot of this information just recently, so unless there's any new questions, new cats on the screen.
Love it.
All right, seeing none, I think you're off the hook, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is
so if you don't mind, if we could just do that motion to include it, then we know that we've kind of closed the loop on this one. So that it's as presented, included into the first reading of the financial plan bylaw.
All right, I will move that the West Coast Committee recommend the Long Beach Airport proposed budget as presented be included in the first reading of the 2026 to 2030 Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan bylaw. Do I have a seconder? Director Siga? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you. Go ahead, Terry.
Great. So next up is the West Coast Mace Management Service. We've talked a lot about that as Tanya was just on talking about rates as well. But there was a question at our February 12th presentation about our recyclables. So Tanya and I did dig out that information. In terms of steel and metal recycling, we recycled about 575 tons in 2024, which gave us about $31,000 worth of revenue. In 2025, we had slightly less at 543 tons, but substantially less revenue as the market has softened for that product. So we only made about $13,000 for that steel recycling. That is definitely common. We've seen it go up and down over the years. I recognize that it was Director Steer that asked that question and is not here today, so I will make sure that I have it in our written report for our March 4th Committee of the Whole meeting. And then other recycling amounts are the electronics that is separated. And so it earned about $1,200 in 2024 and slightly more at $1,600 in 2025. I do want to note that we don't run the recycle depots in Tofino or Ucluelet. So that is literally just what is brought to the landfill. So unlike the Alberni Valley where we provide that service through the regional district, this is just what's been brought to the landfill and recycled. So and is separate from our Recycle BC program. So again, Tanya is here and we are happy to answer any of your questions about this budget.
Thank you, Terry. Director Siga.
Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting that there is electronics recycling being brought to the dump. And I'm just kind of wondering how that is being separated out, or yeah.
we have CCANs out there and things get separated into the correct area.
Through the chair, that's
Great. I'm sure Director Steer would have more questions, but he's not with us today. Any other questions from directors? Director Siga.
sorry, back to the electronics. So are all the electronics both from the depot in town and out at the dump combined to be brought out, or is that being done independently? And is there some cost saving measure in combining those? Thanks.
I'm not sure off the top of my head what the hauling situation is for the electronics, but I can check on it and circle back.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from directors? Seeing none, I'll make the motion. The recommended motion. I'll move that the West Coast Committee recommend the West Coast Waste Management Service proposed budget as presented be included in the first reading of the 2026 to 2030 Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan bylaw. Do I have a seconder? Director Johnson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you, Tanya.
Perfect. So now we're going to move on to the West Coast Transit Service. Again, I feel like we've had lots of discussions lately regarding this service and the operations through BC Transit, but Eddie, our operations manager, is here to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Terry. I have a comment from Director Steer. He says the 16% increase for difficulty of accurately budgeting some of the operating cost of a new system is somewhat problematic. It also projects over 45% increase in tax requisition into the 2030 budget year. That is not sustainable, and efficiencies / revenues will have to be found to balance the substantial projected increase in tax requisitions. That's probably more of a Terry question than an Eddie question.
Yeah, so Eddie and I have talked about this quite a bit. So we've always budgeted, and I think it's a good practice to budget based on what BC Transit is recommending. So these, for the most part, are not numbers that we are inputting. They're going off of what the BC Transit system is. I can let Eddie speak to it a bit more in terms of what their response was, because we did kind of reach out. But I would like to remind that this service only ran for 9 months last year. And so this is the first time we're going to have a full year. So that will kind of explain the increase between last year and this year. However, we do recognize that there's quite a bit of increases moving forward. I feel like BC Transit is still trying to settle the system in, and I think we'll probably get some more accurate costing here as they finish another complete year. And yeah, we are also concerned about the increases, but there is some tricky things such as maintenance of buses and stuff on the coast that make life a little bit challenging. And Eddie, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Terry. I think you pretty well covered it. The key consideration is that BC Transit, it was a full, they took over in March. So it was just 10 months of the BC Transit run service. And then we also introduced a service expansion in January of 2026. So we will see increased costs due to the 1,300-hour expansion that took place there. BC Transit, they definitely did do their best to budget what they expected as far as fuel and maintenance on the buses. The actuals came in a bit higher, and they're just seeing that that translation there. And we definitely continue to work with BC Transit to ensure that costs are as consistent as possible over the next bit.
Great, thank you both for that explanation. Any other questions, comments from directors? Not seeing none, then I will make the recommended motion. I'll move that the West Coast Committee recommend the West Coast Transit Service proposed budget as presented be included in the first reading of the 2026 to 2030 Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan Bylaw. Do I have a seconder? Director Siga, that's a nod. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, Kirsten had her hand up. You just couldn't see her on the screen. Thanks.
No, I can't see everybody at the same time without scrolling back and forth. Sorry about that. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you.
Great. So now the West Coast Grant and Aid budget. So last year we changed the format where now we're setting the budget in advance of getting the applications. And based on discussions at this meeting last year, we moved that budget down from $27,000, which was a recommended, down to 10. It was fully subscribed in 2025, meaning there was more requests than you guys had money. So I did put a CPI increase into the recommended, just because I feel like there is the need there. So that is the proposal or the recommendation from staff, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Terry. Questions, comments from directors? Director Siga.
The only sort of question comment for me would be that a lot of our grants and aids are for services that are like emergency services, for example, that are directly benefiting the area. And I understand that these will be rolled into services as opposed to grants. And if you can just comment on that through the chair too, Terry.
Yeah, it's definitely something that the board has brought up, and staff, I think, had a report at this last meeting about us moving in that direction. It will not be done for this grant and aid year. It will require a process. So I think that there is some work to be done on those. So not for 2026, but definitely a proposed option moving forward. I will say it's going to be a bit, they're all different. Like, we can't just lump them together, I think, in a number of ways. So I think it is going to create some discussion, and then some discussion in the community of how we do them, and whether the board elects to do them by an alternate approval process, or if we want to do a full referendum. As you know, referendums can get expensive, and when we look at the amounts we're providing these organizations, there might be a reason to believe that we should just wait for the next local government election, meaning get ourselves ready, figure out what these services look like, and start putting some literature out there as to what we're doing. But yeah, I think there's some work to be done on that.
Thank you. And given that, I'd like to move that the West Coast Committee recommend the West Coast Grants and Aid budget as presented be included in the first reading of the 2026-2030 Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan Bylaw.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
Great, thank you. And the last one is the West Coast Multiplex Service. So they were a delegation last year and were requesting some ACRD dedicated staff time to help support their objectives. The board did put that into the financial plan last year. However, it wasn't used by the committee, so it is sitting there as surplus here for this year. They have recently reached out, and Daniel has appointed a staff person, the special projects director, to work with them. And their meetings either this week or next week, but they are kind of getting moving. So I think there'll be more to be heard from them this year at this committee as well as at the board. And so I've just proposed no further requisition for 2026. However, let's not reverse it. They're definitely going to use it here in terms of some staff time and maybe other things in this year. Happy to answer any questions.
Director Siga?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to put the motion on the floor that the West Coast Committee recommend the West Coast Multiplex Service proposed budget as presented be included in the first reading of the 2026-2030 Alberta Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan bylaw.
And I will second that. So looking for further discussion. No, seeing none, all in favor? I can't see Kirsten. She's blacked out, but I'll put my hand up, so that carries.
I approve.
Okay, thanks, Kirsten. All right, that completes the draft financial plan requests, and we are now moving on to reports. Area C, official community plan update. Heather, who will be presenting that?
I'd be happy to present that.
Alex, thank
Marilyn.
you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we do have a quick report on there for you on the progress of the Area C Long Beach OCP update. This is one that we are in the create the plan phase. So we have a draft OCP text and maps that have been prepared, and we were intending to get some initial feedback on that from the APC tonight, but with the weather that we're expected, we moved that back a couple weeks. So our meeting will be on March 3rd. It's looking like, if we can confirm those dates. And but yeah, we are looking forward to getting some input from the APC on where we're at on the project, and then that would be followed by referral engagement with our partners within the region, more engagement with the First Nations partners as well, and then going back to the public in early spring with that draft plan. So we're getting closer to the completion of this project, and look forward to bringing that back to this committee and the board later in spring once we have a final document that's ready to go. And happy to answer any questions about the progress of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. So we're basically in phase 4 of a phase 5 project. It was great to see that graph of how far we've come. Director Siga, do you have any comments since this is your OCP?
Thank you very much. Yeah, through the chair, I just want to say thank you very much to the team that's been working really hard on this. And we all, some of the members of our APC are like me, older and quite text, like I like to scribble all over stuff. So I will be picking up printed copy to go over it, and perhaps if I could get an extra one, I'll come out tomorrow and pick those up. And then, yeah, us older people can have better feedback that'll be more concentrated when we do get together to meet. But yeah, thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Yeah, we're happy to bring some hard copies. We'll bring some big maps with us as well, and it would be great to get together and meet in person to go over this. Nobody's more upset than me because I don't get my Howler's burger, but that's okay. That I can wait another couple weeks on that. But yeah, we are looking forward to being in community in the next couple weeks. Thank you.
And Alex, did you say it was postponed till March 3rd?
Yeah, we're still confirming those dates, but it looks like March 3rd will be an opportunity for us to do that. So that's only 2 weeks away.
And where?
I have a question for Alex.
Yes, Lavanna.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, have you connected with our Lands and Resources Director, Ashley Van Atkin? She is doing the lands portion of the side of our OCP, which we're in the process of doing a new one, an updated version as well. And Spencer Tucci, our Capital Infrastructure and Assets Director, is on the other side of working on that OCP plan, and our new CAO, Sunny Dhaliwal, will be Chief Administrative Officer on that.
That's great. I'm not sure if we've connected with Ashley. I know that the OCP team has been working on that, and that we've had engagement with Spencer in the past. But absolutely happy to jump in there again and connect with the right folks, and with Sunny as well. I think it would be great to go over that project with them, and we do have some time to focus on that over the next month here. So thank you for that
I'll do a
reminder, Lavanna.
connection email.
That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Alex? Oh, seeing none, thank you for your report. All right, we'll move on to ex officio member updates. Pacific Rim National Park Reserve. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Chair. So I just have one report that kind of impacts all of the directors. It's just an update on the wolf activity on the peninsula. So on February 10th, Pacific Rim National Park Reserve implemented a dog prohibition due to increased wolf activity in the area between Wickinninish E and Sandhill Creek near Comers Beach. And then we had an unfortunate attack on an off-leash dog in the Willowbrae area. So on last Friday, we expanded this dog prohibition from the south end of the Long Beach boundary at Willowbrae, Half Moon Bay, all the way up to the Greenpoint Rocks. That's where we're seeing the majority of our activity on our on tracks and on cell on cameras and whatnot. So I just wanted to share that. We all know the wolves are very active in the district of Ucluelet and obviously in the ECRD area around Windansea and Millstream as well, and up into the district of Tofino as well. So they're all throughout the peninsula, but we're seeing activity from this family of 4 wolves that is not natural for wolves. They're walking right through communities during broad daylight. They're not, when they see people, they're not retreating into the forests or away. They've also been in the communities of Atatsu and Eswist and Stannis as well. So it's concerning. So we're trying to educate people, both visitors but also local communities. So we're really reaching out to the directors as well to try and reach out to your constituents as well and share the messaging to travel in groups. Don't travel alone. Make lots of noise. Always have your dog on leash where dogs are allowed. And this dog prohibition that I enacted last week, we have area closures in the Wickinninish Dunes and the former gold mine area. And we also have implemented a restriction last fall on wildlife viewing. You cannot do any wildlife viewing from less than 100 meters. So we're trying to ensure that any media attention or people from outside the community of photographers or things that want to come here to see wolves are being respectful, and we're trying to prevent that from happening if we can. So Chair, just a general update that we have expanded that dog prohibition, but it obviously is not just within Pacific Rim National Park Reserve. Wolves wander over all the boundaries from the nations and the districts. So just wanted to share that with the committee. And that's it for me, Mayor McEwen.
Thank you for that update, Dave. I did hear that a couple of wolves were spotted at Windansea just 5 or 6 days ago.
Yeah, during a film shooting.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of people around, boom trucks, everything, and the wolves were. So that's not natural behavior. So yeah.
No, unless they were hired as part of the cast.
I had a quick question.
Director
for
Master
Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks. Curious, what color are the wolves that you mentioned?
They are brownish with white, and they're going through right now because there are 2 pups, and you can almost not tell them difference from the adult. They're almost, I would say, probably we're speculating, almost a year old now. So they're the same height as the adults, maybe not as full, but they're going through a color transformation as well. So they're all four of them look very, very similar now, but they're also losing some of their winter coloring. So they're all transitioning. So long story short, they're brownish, but they're changing. So yeah.
Did you have a follow-up for that, Director Mastrangelo?
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Director Siga.
Thank you very much for that information. And of course, I'm very supportive of any closures that are going to prevent any human-wildlife interactions, particularly negative ones. I'm used to seeing the wolves on my walks along the coastline. And I've never had, like, usually, like, if there's more than one kind of stands and looks at you and the others go into the bush and then that one follows. So this, I'm just wondering, is this because they have pups that this is possibly happening, or is it an increase in the wolf population or a food shortage? I'm just wondering what the possible causes might be. And if I can get a through the chair, Dave, thanks.
Yeah, through the chair, great question. Obviously, we don't know all of the answers. The male and female, the adults were displaying signs of habituation before they had the pups. So now we're very concerned that they are going to pass that on to their pups, and especially the female. So yeah, so we don't know exactly what's happening. Obviously, there's it could be food related or people related, as we keep expanding and coming into their territories. There's also a lot of Nuu-chah-nulth understandings about when wolves become more, but that's not for me to share that messaging. So yeah, so we don't know exactly, but we do know that the adults were displaying signs of habituation or indifference. Sorry, I shouldn't say habituation. Indifference to humans before they had the pups, and we're worried that they'll pass this on to the next generations.
Did you have a follow-up to that, Director Siga?
No, I just I'm hoping that it's not going to mean that these animals will be put down, but I'm not sure that relocation would. Through the chair, would relocation work with these animals?
Yeah, it's and obviously any decision that Pacific Rim National Park Reserve makes, we make collaboratively with First Nations. So the decisions on the dog prohibition were made with both Qulluq'uwit and Ukulithat. And if it gets farther, we would reach out to Tokwat and other nations, but they seem to be in the majority of the issues seem to be in Ukulithat and Qulluq'uwit territory at the moment. There's a lot of questions about relocation, and relocation doesn't work for many species, and also the spiritual aspect of Quiaseq or wolves to Nuu-chah-nulth nations. So there's a lot to that, Siga, Director Siga, yeah, and obviously the ultimate goal is that we don't have to put any down or relocate, but we'll continue to discuss with the First Nations as the situation progresses.
So education is kind of the first priority, I guess, at the moment?
100%, yeah, education, and then some management actions by the dog prohibitions and area closures.
Right.
Yeah.
And the report I did read about the Willow Brae incident, it said that the dog was uninjured. So was it actually attacked, or was it like, how did that occur?
Yeah, it was the dog approached two wolves. The dog was off leash, a larger dog, 40 to 50 pounds. And there was physical interactions between the two wolves and the dog, but no puncture wounds that we're aware of. And we investigated with the reporting party, and the dog was reportedly not injured.
So it was a typical,
luckily.
Yeah, typical, more noise than anything else, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate, but yeah.
Yeah. Director Mastrangelo.
Last question, Dave, and may have been included in the closure briefing, but is there signage for those areas and for permanent times, or yeah?
Yeah,
The
through the
closures.
through the chair. So yes, so we have signed everything in the National Park Reserve at some of the key locations, the Quisitis Visitor Center, the buildings, and then the majority of the beach access points between the Greenpoint Campground and Willowbrae have sandwich boards with signs on them, and we're looking at doing permanent or semi-permanent signs as well. The dog prohibition, the second part of your question, it's not a permanent decision for this dog prohibition, but it's until further notice. So it likely will last for a few weeks or months, or depending on what the activity tells us.
Director Siga.
Yeah, that last comment just made me think, well, what about the Windansea property and like Waiya? Should we be getting signage up in these areas as well? Because I know certainly Windansea was one of my favorite dog walks.
Yeah, and I would defer that to the committee. Obviously, Windansea and Waiya are outside of the National Park Reserve jurisdiction, but I would offer up my staff. We also have a Wild About Wolves regional committee as well. So many people are on that committee, and all of us have representatives on that committee. So any support you need from the National Park Reserve, I would be willing to, but I cannot make those decisions on your behalf. We can share the messaging we're using, and if it was a wider peninsula wolf warning or wolf restrictions, that we will assist in that if you reach out to us.
Thanks, Dave. I think Waiya, that's managed by Ucluelethat, is it not?
Correct. Yeah.
So, Director
Yes.
Mastrangelo, would it be appropriate for your team to reach out to the park and ask for some signage there?
Yeah, definitely. Waiya is owned by Ucluelethat, the Ucluelet First Nation, and it's managed under the corporations. So, which is also in my portfolio. So I would gladly connect our lands and our corporate manager, Jonathan Cross, and Dave Tavel. If you have not connected with anyone in regards to Waiya, I can assist you with that.
And the Windansea is part of District of Ucluelet. So perhaps our corporate officer, Ed Chow, could reach out to you, Dave, to ask for some signage as well, because I think people need to know that wolves have been seen in those areas. Yes, yeah, for sure. Reach out to me if you need any assistance, and we will fully support. Second to that, obviously, we've made some posts on social media about the dog prohibitions, and it's a very polarizing discussion about people's right to walk their dogs on a beach versus the safety of the animal. So it's gone some nasty social media comments on there, and people trying to educate one another, but it's people are taking a very polarized approach to the response. So it's an emotional response as well, understandably. That's the nature of social media. Yes. Yeah. Director Siga?
Yeah, and if I can just make a comment, that's why I'm thinking rather than it falling on parks, I think if the town of Ucluelet and ACRD are supportive of the messaging and the actions, I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that some signage needs to be put up for just for people's education. There will always be people that will have their dog off leash no matter what. But if we can avoid some encounters, some nasty encounters by having some signage, then it's definitely worth a try. Any other questions, comments for Dave?
I'm sorry. Should this have a motion or no? I'm just deferring to your.
I don't think it's a motion from the West Coast Committee specifically, but I think if Director Mastrangelo can connect her team with Dave and talk about signage, and I'll do the same with my staff. I think that's probably okay, unless anyone objects to putting signage up in those two locations about the wolves.
I'm just thinking that the residents that live in Area C, I'm wondering if we need a motion in order to get staff to maybe put something into the bills.
Something into the what?
You know, like the water bills and that kind of thing.
Oh. Going to look to Heather for some input here. Hi, Heather.
Yeah, a motion is always great. Director Siga, if you want to make one, then we won't lose track of that item.
Thank you. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion that the West Coast Committee recommend that staff determine the most effective way to inform residents of the importance of the dogs on leash ruling and that it's in effect for the Area C.
With regard to the wolf sightings.
Thank you.
And I will second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you. Thanks for suggesting that, Director Siga. All right, any other questions, comments for Dave? No, seeing none. Thank you for your for being here today and your report, Dave.
Thank you, Chair. I do have to jump off for another meeting, so my apologies, but
Yeah,
thank you.
we're coming to the end of ours. Coming to the end of ours as well. Thanks for being here. We have no representative from Ahousaht, Taloquit, or Heshquat that I can see online. So I will make a motion that the West Coast Committee receive the verbal report A to B. Director Siga seconds, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. There is no late business question period. There is nobody physically here. Is anyone participating on Zoom that has questions, Heather?
We do have one person participating on Zoom. I'll just notify them if you have questions. You can put them in the Q&A section in Zoom. And I don't see anything via email. So at this point, no questions.
Should we wait a minute for the person on Zoom to respond?
Sure. Looking at you, Samantha.
No response? No.
No.
All right. Then I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:11. Nice to see everyone. And I'm off to another meeting myself.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the
Thank
sun
you.
while it lasts.
Thank
Yeah.
you.